Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Data Analytics in Sports. If you don't follow me on Twitter by now, it's capital D underscore capital A underscore capital S underscore 45. Again, that 45 is not in reference to President Donald Trump. Again, that was brought to my attention that, well, simply because I know nothing about history. I'm math, computer science. I know nothing about... I didn't even know that presidents had numbers. So now I know. It's not. I just like the number 9. Add them together, you get 9. There's your reasoning. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about a player who has not seen any action so far this year. He's only a one-time All-Star. He made the rookie team once back in 2015, 2016. Briefly played for the Knicks, got traded. And I think he might be the most impactful All-Star when he comes back in the league right now. I think he could truly alter the landscape of the league, not just in terms of like who's making the playoffs, who's not, but I think he could legitimately determine who does and does not win a title. And that person, as you probably imagined, the unicorn Porzingis out of, I believe, Latveria, some country like that. Kristaps Porzingis, power forward, 7'3", 240 pounds, right-handed, stroke like Kevin Durant, 20 points per game, 12 rebounds, you know him. Recently traded to the Dallas Mavericks as of last season, played 57 games for him, played around 32 minutes a game. Has not played since injuring his quad in Game 3 of the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Fun fact about Kristaps Porzingis, I remember back in, I think 2017, 2018, around then, that season, Colin Cowherd, which I know already you're starting to tune out because no one likes to listen to Colin Cowherd, but I remember Colin Cowherd and Chris Broussard were doing a segment, and Colin Cowherd mentioned that, or he asked Chris Broussard, would I be crazy if you would rather have Kristaps Porzingis over Giannis? And I remember screaming at the television, yes, you would be. You would be absolutely insane. But he made a good point, and so did Chris Broussard. And they made the point that Giannis can't shoot, and Kristaps Porzingis can not only shoot, but he is lethal in his shot selection and especially behind the three-point line. And there was a lot of talk about Kristaps Porzingis, especially early on in his career for the New York Knicks and when he originally moved to Dallas, because he is that impactful of an offensive and defensive player. He's one of the best shot blockers at his position. And even though in my previous podcast I said that the power forward position is dying, I think Porzingis is the ideal power forward to have in today's NBA because he could shoot like a guard or a wing, and he's 7'3", so he can play small ball center at 7'3". So he's ideal on any single team. And I remember also there was Will Cain, who I hate, but that's besides the point. Will Cain was doing a segment one time on his podcast where he asked a known Celtics fan in a completely unbiased way. He said, "What's the best player you would pass on for Brad Stevens?" And of course, this Celtics aficionado is going to pass on a lot of players for Brad Stevens because, again, he's a Celtics fan, and all Celtics fans are idiots. And this guy said, he was running through the list. He was like LeBron, Steph, Dame, Harden, the superstar players, and then they got to Porzingis. And that guy said, I would rather have Brad Stevens over Porzingis. A really bad take. Honestly, kind of dumb. And there was even a poll like Giannis over Brad Stevens. But besides the point, a lot of people were talking about Porzingis as sort of like what's he going to be? Is he going to be an all-star? Is he going to be a superstar? What is he? And I think we kind of got a glimpse as to what he could be when, in his last game last year in the Western Conference playoffs, first round, Game 3 against the Clippers. The Clippers, at the time, the 5th best defensive team in the league by defensive rating. He went up against them, and he put up 34 and 13 on 61% from the field and over 55% from 3. Keep in mind, that was a Clippers team a lot of people had beating them, beating the Nuggets, beating the Lakers, and ultimately beating the Heat, the Bucks, whoever made it to the finals on the East. But a lot of people had that Clippers team going deep into the playoffs and likely winning it all. Even Chris Broussard, the guy who said might rather have Porzingis over Giannis, said the Clippers are going to win it all. They got Kawhi, they got Paul George, Doc Rivers, Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Ante Zizic. They got everybody. Was it Ante? I forget his name. The center who can't shoot, just set screens, and somehow everyone talks about him despite only averaging like 10 and 8. But anywho, you got Porzingis there. He's putting up 34 and 13 in his last game before hurting his knee, and in his last 3 games prior to that injury, he averaged 24, 8, and 1, along with 1 block on 52% from the field and 52.9% from 3. So he is an elite 3-point shooter. Arguably one of the 15 best 3-point shooters in the league, and he stands at 7'3", as well as being an above-average shot blocker at his position. He's so quick. He's so thin. He's kind of just everywhere. He's got an insane wingspan. And if you combine all that with the fact that he can shoot lights out, 52.9% from 3 in his last 3 games, he is lethal. And I think that if he comes back and if he's healthy enough to the point where he can play, 30 minutes a game, he could play back-to-backs. I mean, like fully, completely, 100% healthy. I don't see how anyone could beat this Dallas Mavericks team. Because right now, Luka is shooting horribly, and he's averaging like 26, 9, and 8, or something like that. Where's Luka? I wrote this down. Where is Luka? Yeah, 26, 9, and 8. And he can't shoot from 3. He's shooting 28% from 3, and yet somehow he's still averaging those numbers, and the Dallas Mavericks are still in this position where they're still competitive in the West. They're the 6th seed. I believe they're 5-4. Yeah, they're 5-4. They're the sixth seed in the West, and Luka Doncic cannot shoot from 3. So I believe if Kristaps Porzingis comes back, he's added to this team, he's added to this roster, I fully believe that there's no one who could beat this Mavericks team. If again, 100%, he has to be fully and completely healthy. He has to look the way he did in the Western Conference playoffs, that first round, those first 3 games before he got hurt, where he was putting up 24, 8, and 1 in a block on 50-50 shooting. I mean, if he comes back and he looks like almost like that, I don't see how anyone could beat him or beat this Mavericks team, especially if Luka starts to slowly get his shooting stroke back. I don't think the Lakers could beat him. I don't think the Nuggets, I don't think the Clippers or the Rockets, Blazers, Warriors, I don't think any of those teams are beating him. I mean, what we saw from Kristaps Porzingis in those last 3 games was almost unbelievable. 34 and 13 on 61-55 shooting. I mean, you do not see that from a 7'3" guy. But he's got his injury histories. I'm concerned. I don't know if he'll ever really come back to 100%, but if he can find a way, I've got this Mavericks team going deep into the playoffs, most likely winning it all. But to pivot from that, talking about Luka Doncic and stuff like that, I want to give like my early predictions and my early, super way too early All-NBA teams. And so I got my first, I got my second, I got my third team, and I have like I have the almost team, I call it, which was like the hardest exclusions for me. And then I have my honorable mentions with guys like Jaylen Brown, CJ McCollum, John Wall, those guys. And to start, what I look for the most when I'm discussing All-NBA, because All-NBA teams are very different from All-Star teams. All-Star teams is almost entirely, there's way more All-Stars than there are All-NBA guys. So if you're an All-Star, really, even if you don't have the numbers, if your team is in the playoffs, you need one guy to represent you in the All-Star game. Like especially the Bucks last year, I thought there were some players who deserved it more than Chris Middleton, but because the Bucks were so good in the regular season and they had such a ridiculous record and like net rating, you had to give another guy a nod, and it had to be Chris Middleton. But I would have given it to other players. I don't know, maybe not. Chris Middleton did have a great season. He was probably worthy of an All-Star selection, but I just think that when you're looking at the All-Star teams, as long as you're on a playoff team, if you're the main guy on that playoff team, you get to be an All-Star, essentially. So if you're like a borderline 8 seed, but you're the best player on that 8 seed, you're an All-Star. Whereas All-NBA, you could have multiple people from the same team on an All-NBA team, even if they're like, I don't know, like the Jazz. If Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert were both having incredible seasons, I would have no problem putting both of them on the All-NBA team. And they've both made All-Star teams in the past before, but I just think all NBA teams is all about individual greatness and individual statistics, whereas the all-star selections sometimes has more to do with team success. So what I look for when I discuss all NBA teams is I look at statistics and efficiency, eye test, and team success. That's ordered. That's not like 3 unordered. So statistics and efficiency is the most important thing for me when I look at all NBA teams, followed by the eye test, just how do they look, how do they fit in the offense, how do they fit with their team, more importantly, like how do they on a game-to-game basis help their team win, and then third is team success. Team success doesn't really matter too much, but similar to the all-star thing, if you are one of the better teams in the league, there's an example of this in there and I'll point it out, but if you're one of the better teams in the league, but if you're just a really deep team and you don't really have one star, even then you gotta put someone in just because the team is so successful. But I'll just jump right in. So first guard selection, I've got Steph Curry, 29, 7, and 5. His surrounding cast is meh. Kelly Oubre is shooting 13% from 3. Andrew Wiggins is shooting a career high in threes, but he's averaging the second least amount of points in his career, first being his rookie year. And Kelly Oubre is also averaging the least amount of points since 2016-2017 when he was in Washington. And those were the 2 main offseason acquisitions. You got Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins, both versatile wings who really do one thing and one thing only, and that's score. That was my one big critique about their moves, is that they don't really need scoring. They need like a Robert Covington kind of guy. Of course, every team needs a Robert Covington kind of guy, but even like a Mikal Bridges, like a Miles Bridges, because neither of these guys play make. Neither of these guys are great defenders, even though somehow Andrew Wiggins locked up Kawhi Leonard. What these guys do is they score, but neither of them have been particularly good at doing that. So I think Steph Curry's definitely taken this team to a level that a lot of people would not think they would be at, given how bad the supporting cast has been this year. But let's see, the second guard for first team, James Harden, 26, 11, and 5. Rockets are 3 and 5, but hey, I don't really care about team success. Team success is third. Just by statistics, he's been ridiculous. This team is 12th in offensive rating. They would not be anywhere near that with anyone other than James Harden. Even though he doesn't give a damn about COVID, he is looking ridiculously good. The team isn't very good. John Wall's been good and Christian Wood are both good, but I don't think that either of them have been significant upgrades at the center position, or at their respective positions, except for Christian Wood. He's been a pretty significant upgrade from PJ Tucker, who was a sort of a downgrade talent-wise from Clint Capella. But I think John Wall, he still isn't shooting threes very well. His turnovers are still a bit of a problem. He's playing really well, far better than I thought he would as an athletic point guard coming off of an Achilles injury, but James Harden has definitely carried this team. First forward I have is Jason Tatum. He's easily been my biggest surprise this season. This is one of the better teams in offensive rating. He's averaging 27, 7, and 4. And I mean, he's easily the best player on this team, even though Jaylen Brown has had an incredible season. I don't think it's close. I think there are not many players you could replace Tatum with. Really, the only, when you discuss who could you swap Tatum with on this team, the names that you would have to bring up are some really good names. You would have to bring up Kevin Durant, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, other super versatile, super incredibly talented wings. And I think that's just a testament to how good he's been this year. Celtics they're pretty good in the East. They're tied for first, I believe, with the 76ers. Yep, they've won 4 in a row. So they started off kind of slow, but it looks like they kind of hit their stride, especially Jaylen Brown. It seems like he's gained a lot of confidence. He's secured the bag, so money is no longer an issue for him. So I feel like he's it seems like whenever players get paid big money, like Jaylen Brown did, it's almost as if they then have the financial wiggle room to, invest in their bodies more and invest in their game. So it's always interesting to watch guys sign max level deals or close to it, and then they sort of take that leap in the offseason. I feel like Jason Tatum made that leap. Jaylen Brown made that leap. Kemba Walker's nowhere to be found. That's another big thing for Jason Tatum. Their main point guard acquisition is gone. But I think regardless, this Celtics team is absolutely ridiculous. They don't have a good defensive center. They don't have their point guard. And yet somehow Jason Tatum has led this team to one of the best offensive ratings and tied for the best Eastern Conference record. So he's easily first team for me. Another first team wing I've got is Kevin Durant. For this one, he's Kevin Durant. He's putting up 29, 7.5, and 5 on 51, 42, 86 splits. He's arguably the best player in the league, I would think. He's missed a couple of games, I think, due to COVID protocols, but I mean, he's looked ridiculous. I mean, he's 29, 7.5, and 5. The number of wings in this league that give you 25, 8, and 5 or better, that is a short list, and I think he's probably second right now in the league in MVP. It's hard because everyone's missing games due to COVID and the season might even end because of it, but I think right now he's probably second in the league in MVP for me. The Nets are they're kind of struggling. They're 10th in the East, but again, I don't really care too much about team success as much as as long as the statistics and efficiency sort of carry over, so to speak. I don't know. Regardless, he's first team. He's looked incredible. For the center position, Jokic, he's my current pick for MVP, averaging a triple-double, leads the league in my formula score with 43. He's not a good defensive player. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he is, but it's not like this team is a good defensive team. They're 25th in the league in defense. They're bottom, way towards the bottom, but honestly, I really can't blame him just because of the way this team is made up. They're second in the league in offense. Jamal Murray is playing like a borderline all-star at 24-3. But other than that, Gary Harris is 27% from 3. Michael Porter Jr. has only played 4 games. And Jokic leads the team in every category except block percentage and turnover percentage. If LeBron was doing this, it would be on ESPN every single day. Because every single time LeBron's led his team in points, rebounds, and assists and blocks, you see it. And I feel like Jokic is doing that, and Jokic is really the only truly transcendent offensive talent on this team, just because Murray is okay. Murray's he's 24-3 on 55, 39, 80. But he's had a couple of duds. Murray's name of the game is streaky shooting and all around just being like an up and down kind of player. I feel like Jokic has been consistent this whole season so far. And with Michael Porter Jr., they're arguably their second or third best player, missing or only playing 4 games, and Gary Harris only shooting 27% from 3. Jokic is first team, and right now he's my pick for MVP. LeBron, second team, first guard I got there. LeBron, just overwhelming talent surrounding him. His numbers, they're good. They're classic LeBron numbers, 22, 8, and 7. Easy argument to move him up here. He could easily be first team. I would go no lower than second team. I don't see how you can put him anything lower than second team, but he could easily be first team. Not much of an argument I have to make for LeBron making one of my All-NBA teams. It's LeBron. Luka Doncic, second team All-NBA guard. He can't shoot from 3 this year, but he's 26, 9, and 8. It's easy to see why he's still like top choice for MVP for so many pundits and writers. He's been playing absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, again, if you swap him with anyone else, there's no way the Mavericks are as good. His playmaking, his decisions. I mean, if he starts hitting threes at a clip above like 25%, which is what I think he's shooting right now, yeah, it's game over for a lot of the teams in the league. I mean, this whole season's kind of wonky because of COVID, but I think, if you were to bet money on him winning MVP, I would not call you an idiot. Giannis, it's Giannis. Anthony Davis, he regressed in every statistical category, rebounds, assists, and blocks. But his efficiency is up, surprisingly. So he's averaging less of everything, but it's more efficient. I attribute that mostly to the acquisition of Dennis Schroeder and Marc Gasol. They are both gifted playmakers. I think that explains a lot as to why, because the ball's not in his hand. If you watch Lakers games, the ball is never in his hands for more than just a second. I think that explains a lot of the efficiency. Lakers are third in defense and fourth in offense, and still easily the title favorites. And I think a lot of that is because of Anthony Davis. Joel Embiid, second team All-NBA center. team is average on offense, second in defensive rating, 24-12-3, 46% from three. 76ers have the best record in the East, tied with the Celtics at 7-3. I don't have to explain anymore. He's been amazing. Also MVP, probably third or fourth in MVP voting, I got to say. Probably behind Jokic, KD, maybe Doncic, and then him, I would say. He's looked incredible. Third team. This is where it gets interesting. Third team, Damian Lillard. It's Dame time. Other guard for third team, Devin Booker. I had to put someone on the Suns. They're just such a deep team, and they're so good. There's just no overwhelming star. Chris Paul has been good. He is, if you watch these games, he doesn't look old, but it's obvious that he's not young anymore. He's not Chris Paul, but he's still Chris Paul, if that makes any sense. It was really between him and Devin Booker. I had to put one of them, and I went with Devin Booker. They are easily the deepest team in the league. They have like 12 solid NBA players. It's really hard to determine who goes here. Maybe you could argue Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, guys like that, but I put Devin Booker. 13, Brandon Ingram. He's only going to move up. He's 24-7-6, top of the league in defense, near bottom of the league in offense at 21. He's really their only offensive star. He's really it. So the team relies so heavily on him. Zion's been good, but you watch Zion and he just cannot create for himself. And Brandon Ingram has just taken such a massive leap in playmaking. So he's well deserving of All-NBA honors. Domantas Sabonis, absolutely bullying people in the post. And Bam Adebayo, best player on the Heat. And then if you look, I got almost team. These were the hardest exclusions for me. I got Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Christian Wood. These are the five. These are the hardest cuts I had to make. Kyrie Irving playing great. Ben Simmons, almost triple-double. Kawhi Leonard, 24-5-5. Kawhi Leonard things. Paul George, not looking like way off P, starting to maybe look like playoff P. And Christian Wood, 23-8. I mean, it's hard. This is the most talented the league's ever been. I think all five of those guys, you could argue, could be like upwards of second team All-NBA. If like that's how good the league is right now. Like if you wanted to tell me that Christian Wood is deserving of second team honors at power forward, I would not make fun of you. I think all five of those guys, you could argue, are anywhere between not even close to All-NBA and second team All-NBA. And I would not call you crazy on any of those. Honorable mentions: Jamal Murray, Chris Paul, Rudy Gobert, Trae Young, Kyle Lowry, Jaylen Brown, CJ McCollum, John Wall, Russell Westbrook, Zion, and Tobias Harris. Cat's only played 3 games. We'll have to see with him. D'Angelo Russell, he's looked okay. Those are my honorable mentions, and then my almost All-NBA team. I guess my fourth All-NBA team. Again, that 5, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Christian Wood, all 5 of them, easily you could argue, could be second team All-NBA. This is easily the most talented the league's ever been. Like if you wanted to argue Kawhi's having a better season than Giannis, I would disagree, but I wouldn't call you crazy. I just think there's so much talent in the league. The hardest cut for me was easily Brandon Ingram over Kawhi, but I just think Brandon Ingram has such a heavy offensive workload that it's really just like there's no one else on the Pelicans who can get their own shot off. Eric Bledsoe can't, Steven Adams can't, JJ Redick can't. He's got to go run across screens and stuff. Lonzo definitely can't. He kind of can, but not really. Zion really needs to like get an offensive rebound to get a bucket. Yeah, that was easily the hardest cut for me. But those were my All-NBA teams. It was very interesting. I look forward to talking with other people, seeing what they agree on, what they disagree with. So, yeah, that's my All-NBA teams. Thanks again for listening.